In California, an AI can technically sue you. In Texas, your robot vacuum might be breaking the law right now. And somewhere in America, there's a law that says AI can't give you medical advice unless it pretends to be dumber than it actually is. Yeah, we need to talk about this. AI is everywhere. It's in your phone, your car, your fridge, and apparently it's also in the courtroom. But here's what nobody tells you. While AI was busy learning how to write essays and generate art, lawmakers were quietly creating some of the most bizarre, confusing, and downright freaky laws about artificial intelligence that you've ever heard. And trust me, some of these are so weird that even the AI itself would be confused. I spent weeks digging through legal documents, state bills, and federal regulations to find the most unbelievable AI laws in America. And real quick, 90% of you watching aren't subscribed. If you like weird laws and want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me which law shocked you the most. Here's the thing about AI laws. They're being written by people who barely understand how AI works. Imagine trying to create traffic rules for flying cars when you've never even seen one. That's basically what's happening right now. Politicians are scrambling to regulate something that evolves faster than they can type. And the result? A legal mess that's part science fiction, part comedy show, and part nightmare for anyone actually working with AI. Some states are banning things that don't even exist yet. Others are allowing things that definitely should be illegal. And a few are just making stuff up as they go along. The problem is, these laws are real, they're enforceable, and some of them could land you in serious trouble without you even knowing it. So let's dive into the 50 most insane AI laws that exist in the United States right now. Law number 1, the AI lawyer ban. Let's start with something recent. Several states, including New York and California, have laws that specifically ban AI from practicing law without human supervision. But here's where it gets weird. The law doesn't define what practicing law means when it comes to AI. So if you ask ChatGPT for legal advice and it gives you an answer, is that illegal? Nobody knows. The law is so vague that legal experts themselves can't agree on what it actually prohibits. But the penalty for violation? Up to 5 years in prison. Yeah, asking a chatbot the wrong question could theoretically make you a criminal. Law number 2, the deepfake election rule. In Texas, there's a law that makes it illegal to create deepfakes of political candidates within 30 days of an election. Sounds reasonable, right? Except the law defines a deepfake so broadly that it technically includes any edited photo or video. That means if you post a meme of a politician with a funny face filter during election season, you could be breaking the law. The fine? Up to $10,000. For a meme. Law number 3, the AI therapist disclosure. California requires any AI providing mental health support to disclose that it's not human. Makes sense, but here's the catch. It has to disclose this in a way that doesn't make the user feel less supported. The law literally says the AI has to tell you it's a robot while also making sure you don't feel bad about talking to a robot. How do you even enforce that? There's no standardized method. So every company interprets it differently. Law number 4, the Algorithmic Accountability Act. This one's federal. Companies with over $50 million in revenue must submit annual reports about their AI systems. But the reports have to include impact assessments that evaluate potential harm. The problem? The law doesn't define what counts as harm. Is showing someone an ad for fast food harmful? What about a news article that makes them sad? The vagueness is intentional because lawmakers couldn't agree on specifics. So now companies are playing legal roulette. Law number 5, the autonomous vehicle paradox. In Florida, self-driving cars are legal, but the law says a licensed driver must be in the vehicle at all times, ready to take control. Okay, cool. But then another law says that if the human takes control and crashes, they're liable. But if they don't take control and the AI crashes, they're also liable for not intervening. So basically, if you're in a self-driving car in Florida, you're responsible either way. You literally cannot win. Law number 6, the AI dating disclosure. In New York, dating apps that use AI to generate profiles or conversations must disclose this to users. Sounds normal, but the law also applies to AI-enhanced profiles. What does that mean? If you use autocorrect, does that count? What about a photo filter? The law doesn't specify, so technically everyone on a dating app in New York might be breaking the law without knowing it. Law number 7. The biometric data time bomb. Illinois has the strictest biometric privacy law in America. Any AI that collects facial recognition data needs written consent. But here's the insane part. Companies can be sued for EHA, individual violation. That means if your app scans 1 million faces without consent, that's 1 million lawsuits, and each one can be worth up to $5,000. Do the math, that's $5 billion in potential liability. Multiple companies have already been destroyed by this law. Law number 8, the AI hiring ban. New York City banned employers from using AI to screen job candidates unless the AI has been audited for bias within the past year. Great idea, terrible execution. The law doesn't specify who can perform these audits or what standards they should use. So companies just hire random consultants who rubber stamp their AI systems. The law exists, but it doesn't actually do anything. Law number 9, the voice clone permission. In Tennessee, you need permission to create an AI voice clone of someone. This law was created to protect musicians, but it's written so broadly that it technically covers any voice recording. That means if you use AI to transcribe a phone call, you might be violating the law, even if it's your own voice. The legal interpretation is still being figured out in courts right now. Law number 10, the robot tax proposal. San Francisco almost passed a law that would tax companies for using robots instead of humans. The idea was to fund retraining programs for displaced workers, but the law defined robot as any automated system that replaces human work. Under that definition, Excel spreadsheets would be taxed. So would washing machines. The law failed, but similar proposals keep popping up across the country. Law number 11. The AI journalism attribution. In California, news sites must disclose when articles are written by AI. Seems fair, but the law requires this disclosure to be clear and conspicuous. What does that mean? Nobody knows. Some sites put it at the top, others hide it at the bottom. Some use tiny font. There's no standard, so everyone's just guessing and hoping they don't get sued. Law number 12. The algorithmic transparency requirement. Washington State requires companies to explain how their AI makes decisions, but the law says these explanations must be understandable to a reasonable person. Here's the problem. AI decisions are based on millions of calculations that even the programmers do not fully understand. How do you explain something that's mathematically impossible to simplify? You can't. So companies just write vague descriptions and hope it's good enough. Law number 13. The AI surveillance limit. In Portland, police can't use facial recognition AI at all, for any reason, even if it would solve a murder. The ban is absolute, but neighboring cities can use it freely. So criminals just need to drive 20 minutes to be outside the AI free zone. The law has good intentions but creates a weird patchwork where your rights change based on which side of the street you're on. Law number 14. The predictive policing ban. Several cities have banned AI that predicts where crimes will occur. The reasoning is that these systems reinforce bias. Fair enough. But the laws are written so broadly that they ban things like traffic pattern analysis and resource allocation algorithms. Police departments now have to manually guess where to send officers, leading to slower response times. Law number 15. The AI medical diagnosis rule. The FDA requires AI medical diagnostic tools to be less accurate than they actually are. Law number 18. The automated decision review. Right. Law number 20. The algorithmic discrimination law. Colorado banned AI systems that discriminate based on protected characteristics. More obviously necessary. But the law defines discrimination so broadly that it includes any system that produces different outcomes for different groups. Even if those outcomes are accurate, an AI that predicts heart disease risk will show different results for men and women because biology is different. That's now technically illegal discrimination in Colorado. Law number 21. The Smart Home Data Limit California restricts how smart home devices can share data. Your smart speaker can't send recordings to third parties without consent. Sounds good. But the law defines third parties weirdly. The company that makes the device isn't a third party, but the company that provides the AI brain that makes the device work is. So your data can't be sent to the AI that makes your device function. The law accidentally broke smart homes. Law number 22. The AI education disclosure. In Arizona, teachers must tell students when AI is grading their work, but the law says this CAing be done in a way that makes students less confident in the grading. So teachers have to say, an AI graded this, while also somehow making students feel good about it. It's psychological gymnastics written into law. Law number 23. The synthetic media watermark. Federal law requires AI-generated images to include digital watermarks, but the law doesn't specify how these watermarks should work. So every company invented their own system. None of them are compatible, and most can be removed with basic editing tools. The law exists but accomplishes nothing. Law number 24. The autonomous weapon definition. The Department of Defense has regulations about AI weapons. They define autonomous weapons as those that can select and engage targets without human input. But a guided missile technically fits that definition. So does a landmine. The definition is so broad that it accidentally regulates weapons that have existed for decades while missing actual AI weapons that work differently. Law number 25. The AI real estate appraisal. In multiple states, AI can't be the sole determiner of property value. A human appraiser must be involved, but the law doesn't say how much involvement. Real estate companies now have appraisers who just click approve on AI assessments without actually reviewing them. The law is followed, but its purpose is completely undermined. Law number 26. The chatbot identification requirement. Over 20 states require chatbots to identify themselves as non-human. Makes sense. But the laws don't specify when this identification needs to happen. At the start of the conversation, every message, once per session, companies interpret this differently, leading to wildly inconsistent user experiences. Law number 27. The AI financial advisor restriction. The SEC restricts AI from giving personalized investment advice, but the law defines personalized in a way that makes no sense for AI. If an AI gives the same advice to everyone in a similar situation, is that personalized or general? Courts are still figuring this out, but companies are already being fined based on unclear interpretations. Law number 28. The emotion recognition ban. Several cities banned AI emotion recognition technology. The concern is that it's inaccurate and invasive. Fair points. But the bans are written so broadly that they include things like sentiment analysis on social media. Companies that monitor customer satisfaction through reviews might be breaking the law without realizing it. Law number 29. the AI insurance pricing limit. In some states, insurance companies can't use AI to set prices if it results in rates that differ by more than a certain percentage between demographic groups. The intention is to prevent discrimination, but it means insurance companies have to charge some people more and others less than their actual risk level to stay within legal limits. The law creates inaccuracy on purpose. Law number 30, the algorithmic management disclosure. New York requires companies using AI to manage workers to disclose this. Makes sense for warehouse robots and delivery road optimization. But the law applies to any algorithmic management, which technically includes things like scheduling software that's been around for decades. Thousands of companies suddenly had to comply with regulations for tools they'd been using forever. Law number 31, the AI creative credit. In California, if AI contributes to creative work, it must be credited, but the law doesn't define contributes. If you use autocorrect, does the AI get credit? What about grammar check? Spell check? The law created more questions than answers, and nobody's quite sure how to follow it. Law number 32, the synthetic voice consent. Multiple states require consent before creating synthetic voices, but they don't specify how long that consent lasts. If someone gave permission in 2010, is it still valid? What if they're dead? What if the company that got consent no longer exists? The law didn't think this through. Law number 33, the AI parole decision ban. Several states banned AI from making parole decisions. Understandable concern. But the laws are vague about what counts as making a decision versus informing a decision. If an AI generates a risk assessment that a human then uses, is that banned? Different judges interpret this differently, meaning your freedom might depend on which courtroom you're in. Law number 34, the facial recognition accuracy requirement. In some jurisdictions, facial recognition must be at least 98% accurate before police can use it. Sounds reasonable, but the law doesn't specify how accuracy is measured. Accurate at what? Identifying people, not misidentifying people, across all demographics equally. Companies game the metrics to technically comply while not actually meeting the spirit of the law. Law number 35, the AI contract enforceability. In Texas, contracts negotiated by AI are enforceable, but only if both parties knew an AI was involved. The problem? The law doesn't say how parties are supposed to know this. If you are negotiating with a company and don't ask, hey, is this an AI? And it turns out it was, the contract might be void, but you had no way of knowing to ask. Law number 36, the automated moderation appeal. Federal law gives users the right to appeal AI moderation decisions on social media, but companies can take up to 90 days to respond, and they can deny appeals without explanation. So you have a right that takes 3 months to exercise, and will probably be denied anyway. It's a right without teeth. Law number 37, the AI tutoring disclosure. In several states, educational AI must disclose its limitations. It has to tell students what it might get wrong. But this creates a weird paradox where the AI has to undermine its own credibility while also being helpful. Some AI tutors now spend half their time explaining why they might be wrong instead of actually teaching. Law number 38, the predictive healthcare ban. Some states restrict AI from predicting patient outcomes. The concern is that negative predictions might become self-fulfilling, but this means doctors can't use AI to identify high-risk patients who need extra attention. The law meant to protect people might actually harm them by limiting preventive care. Law number 39, the AI news recommendation limit. In Florida, social media companies can't use AI to prioritize political news during election periods. The goal is to prevent manipulation. But political news isn't clearly defined. Is economic news political? Environmental news? Health news during a pandemic? Companies are terrified of accidentally breaking this law, so many just suppress all news during elections. Law number 40. The synthetic data privacy. California says synthetic data generated by AI from real data is still subject to privacy laws. Makes sense conceptually. But synthetic data is supposed to be anonymized and safe to share. This law suggests that even fully anonymized synthetic data might violate privacy. It's basically made synthetic data useless for its intended purpose. Law number 41. The AI union negotiation ban. In several states, AI can't participate in union negotiations, even as a tool to help either side. The concern is that AI might be too good at negotiating and create unfair advantages. But this means unions and companies are banned from using calculators, spreadsheets, or any analytical tools during negotiations. The law is so broad, it's basically unenforceable. Law number 42. The algorithmic pricing coordination. Federal law says companies can't use AI to coordinate prices, as that would be collusion. Fair enough. But if multiple companies use the same AI pricing tool, and that tool recommends similar prices because the market conditions are the same, is that coordination? The law says maybe. Multiple companies have been investigated for using the same off-the-shelf software. Law number 43, the AI tenant screening limit. In several cities, landlords can't use AI to screen tenants if it considers certain factors. But the list of prohibited factors is so long that AI basically can't consider anything meaningful. They can't look at income, employment history, previous evictions, or credit scores. So what's left? Name and phone number. The law defeated its own purpose. Law number 44. The autonomous delivery restriction. In many cities, delivery robots can't travel faster than 6 miles per hour. Reasonable for safety. But the law applies everywhere, including empty sidewalks at 3 in the morning. The robots could go faster safely, but the law doesn't allow for context. So deliveries take forever, and the service is basically useless. Law number 45. The AI loan explanation requirement. Federal law requires lenders to explain why AI denied a loan. But modern AI makes decisions based on thousands of factors in ways that can't be simplified. So lenders give generic explanations that technically comply with the law, but tell you nothing useful. You're legally entitled to an explanation that explains nothing. Law number 46. The synthetic training data disclosure. In some states, AI trained on synthetic data must disclose this. The concern is that synthetic trained AI might be less accurate. But studies show synthetic data can actually improve AI performance. The law is based on outdated assumptions but is still enforced, holding back better AI development. Law number 47. The AI humor restriction. In California, AI-generated comedy must be labeled as such. The entertainment industry lobbied for this to protect comedians. But the law defines comedy so broadly that it includes memes, jokes in conversations, and funny social media posts. If you share an AI-generated meme without labeling it, you're technically breaking the law. Law number 48. The algorithmic bail decision ban. Multiple states banned AI from setting bail amounts. The concern was bias, but judges still use the same data the AI used. They just do the math in their heads instead of having a computer do it. Studies show human judges are actually more biased than the AI was. The law made the problem worse while trying to fix it. Law number 49. The AI energy consumption limit. In California, data centers running AI must keep energy consumption below certain thresholds. Environmental protection makes sense, but the limits are so strict that they are physically impossible to meet with current technology. Companies either violate the law, shut down, or move to other states. California is losing its AI industry because of a law that demands the impossible. Law number 50. The robot personhood. Question. This isn't technically a law yet, but multiple states are considering bills that would grant certain AI systems limited legal personhood. This would allow them to own property, enter contracts, and even sue and be sued. It sounds like science fiction, but if these bills pass, your Roomba could legally own your house. The implications are so wild that legal scholars can't even agree on how this would work in practice. So here's what all of this means. We're living through the most chaotic period of technology legislation in human history. These 50 laws are just the beginning. Every month, new AI regulations are proposed, passed, challenged, and revised, and almost none of them make sense. The fundamental problem is that AI evolves faster than law. By the time a regulation is written, debated, and passed, the technology has already changed. So we end up with laws that regulate things that no longer exist while ignoring the actual problems that need solving. And here's the really scary part. Most of these laws have criminal penalties. You can go to jail for violating rules that even lawyers don't understand. You can be fined thousands of dollars for using technology in ways that seem perfectly normal. The legal system is broken when it comes to AI, and it's only getting worse. But the absolute craziest thing, all of these laws exist simultaneously. You might be following the law in your state while breaking federal law, or vice versa. Or you might be legal in one city and illegal in the next town over. There's no consistency, no clarity, and no way to know if you're compliant unless you hire a team of lawyers. These 50 laws show us that America has no idea how to handle AI. We're throwing regulations at the wall and hoping something sticks. Some laws are well-intentioned but poorly written. Others are just ridiculous. And a few are downright dangerous because they prevent beneficial uses of AI while doing nothing to stop harmful ones. The scary truth is that this is just the start. As AI becomes more powerful and more widespread, we're going to see thousands more laws just like these. Confusing, contradictory, and often completely divorced from how the technology actually works. We're building a legal framework for AI on a foundation of misunderstanding and fear. And we're all going to have to live with the consequences. If this was as wild for you as it was for me, subscribe for more videos breaking down insane laws you didn't know existed.